Hey everybody, this is Elisa with the Rebel Crone, and today I want to talk about purpose. I think it's a very important topic for women as we get older. Society wants to tell us that our purpose was created and distributed and manifested when we were younger. And now is the time to let go of that. And it's just the time to indulge and have fun and, just do what we want to do. Which sounds very appealing, especially after we've lived lives of really, as women, really being focused outside of ourselves, focused about taking care of many things, like my little kitty that you might be hearing crying. I've got multiple cats, and so they're chiming in a little bit this morning. But anyway, so purpose. For me, purpose is it's something that there is the micro and the macro of purpose. And I think purpose follows us through our whole lives and it changes. Maybe there is this global, all over, an angelic, we could say, or spiritual context for our living, for our incarnation as who we are, that there are things that we are globally, big topics, big things we are to be accomplishing in this lifetime, and that's great. That's great if we can figure what that out is. Often that takes a lifetime of living. Coming to our age, we can start looking at our stories and we can start putting together pieces with that. So that's really cool. But that's a bigger topic. I'm looking more at, we could call it the micro purposes in our lives. And I feel like purpose at a different level changes as we grow, as we age. There was a very specific purpose when we were younger. When we were little babies, the purpose is to survive, right? And then it's to walk, and then it's to, poop on a toilet, and then it's to go to school. We have all these different things. But let's talk more about like when the mother phase, the adult phase. Then purpose starts honing in and has a whole new meaning, because purpose is about maybe supporting our family. Maybe it's about supporting, maybe we're community oriented. It's about supporting ourselves, possibly just through career, through motherhood, all those things. So we get a pretty clear purpose at that time, and it's usually pretty physically oriented. It's about our world, our physical world around us. Now, not to say that many people don't have like a higher spiritual calling at that time too. I mean, for me, that always feathered in through all of my purposes. As a 20-year-old, and I started Elisa Designs, my wearable art business, I was very clear about my purpose with that. I wanted to have my own career. I loved art. I loved clothing. I loved the feeling of being able to clothe my spirit, and to be beautiful. That to me, so I had a purpose. And I accomplished that purpose. By the time I was 40, I had accomplished that purpose I'd set out to do. And it was time to shift gears, and I shifted into another field of bioenergetic medicine. For me, the purpose then was, now I want to understand. I want to understand more about, how to take care of this physical being. What's going on with these physical vessels? And we've got the spirit template and physical being. How does that come in? How can we make that come in more cleanly and a pure expression of who we are? So that was fascinating, but that changed. I hit another decade and it changed again. But now the key thing here is when we're coming into our years of being a crone, or if we already have crossed that threshold, remember that threshold is our menses. Natural menses. Sometimes it's been interrupted earlier for various reasons, medical reasons, but the natural, stopping of that process, which would be, menopause is a single event. Before that, we have perimenopause, and after that, we have our postmenopausal time. So coming up to it is like a time of great physical changes. I mean, our hormones, if you know anything about physiology, really dictate so strongly our nature and our body function and our emotions and our thinking, and it's part of the design of being a human, right? So coming into the perimenopausal time, sometimes that's a time where that all gets rocked. I mean, it gets really, really rocky. For me, that's around the time that I did my ski patrol thing, which I talked about in the other episode. It was a time of taking a big shift. Now, that was not my purpose, but it was a means of getting to my purpose. It was something to shift the narrative that I had been telling myself about my life and about, a recent string of a feeling being a failure and stuff. So I made a big shift then. It wasn't until I was really postmenopausal that that voice inside started really calling. It started getting stronger. I was able to listen to it more. The beauty thing about becoming older is that we stop caring about what other people think. We don't stop caring. We stop caring about what other people think. We become more inner directed. We start being more concerned about, well, who am I? And I am important. I want to take care of me. What am I doing? So even though maybe you feel like you've retired, and there's nothing wrong with that, a life well lived and having, a period of time of just enjoying oneself. I'm not casting any judgment on that. I'm just different. And, so many women in that, in that category, there still may be a little voice inside that's calling you, that's saying, I got something to give. There's something else about my life, and something, we call it a purpose. This would be the purpose of, in our older years, of a new definition. We're a whole new person. So why not have a whole new purpose, a whole new something that wants to come out? So that's what I want to talk about today. Short story made long. I want to talk about purpose, especially purpose as we age and we become, and we're looking to become a crone. Remember what I said earlier is that in the previous presentations, that for me, I go by the ancient spiritual meaning of what a crone is, and that's our crowning glory, and that's something that we earn the right to wear. That's something we've got to claim for ourselves. That's something we put our own crown of living, our own jewel of a life well lived, lessons learned, and wisdom won. Last night was interesting. I was talking to a friend who was sharing with me a perspective about the craziness that we are living in right now in the world. Now, every generation goes through and thinks like, oh, there's wars, rumors of wars, everything is going to pot. This is the end of times, certainly. That has been a common theme throughout history, because I think it's just that's a complicated answer. There's so much going on. There's so many things counter to what I feel is natural humanity, is the natural goodness of humanity, that we try to reconcile with it. And we think, oh, surely this is going to be, this has got to be the end. How can it get worse than this? And it seems to get worse all the time. Right now, we're living in a time where it's hard to imagine things getting worse. But trust me, they're going to. My friend likened the whole situation to being in the eye of a hurricane. And we've got this huge, or cyclone, whipping around us, and all this craziness. And, it's building momentum. It is building momentum now. But the key point is that we are in the eye of it. The eye, the EYE. But let's change that around. Let's say, we're in the eye. What about the big eye of it? And I think that's the place where we need to be centered. We need to find purpose in this time. We need to create changes through our influence of our age. Our age. I mean, who else in this world besides older women have something that can be so powerful, so wise, so intuitively channeled in with spirit to provide, be agents for change, internally, quietly, or in a big way, and all the different nuances and ways in between. It's all potency. When we come from the spirit in the right place, it's the same potency, whether that person next to you may be accomplishing great things in their heart and changing the world, and you'll never know their name, you'll never know anything they've done. So we can't judge anybody by what they do outwardly. And that should be apparent right now in society, because so much is being revealed that people you think are doing all these great things, they turn out to be not very evolved, spiritually humans. Anyway, so let's get back to the eye of the hurricane. In the eye of the hurricane, let's place the big I, the I am. You know, the truth of who we are, the power of who we are, the crone of who we are. Let's place that right in the middle, and all this swirling madness is going around us. Well, how do we find our purpose in that? How do we not get distracted, not get in fear, not get worried about all that? Let me tell you that one of the big keys is that's not our battle out there. That's not our battle to be fought. There's other things going on. There's other powers that be that, control things that are just completely out of our control. So we gotta let that go. We can observe it, but let's not get caught in it unless we're brought directly into it. Now that's another matter. I'm a strong believer that when circumstances bring something to you, then it's your time to respond to it. It's come to you. If it hasn't come to you, it hasn't come to your doorstep, it's not affecting your family directly, then it's not your battle to fight. So stay out of it. Stay out of it emotionally. That's the biggest gift you can give to those battles that are being fought out there, is stay emotionally neutral and clean about it. That's not saying I'm not going to turn a blind eye, pretend this isn't happening. I'm not going to have great compassion for it, but energetically, I need to do my part. My part is in the eye of my hurricane, of where I'm placed in it. And that's my responsibility. My purpose is going to lie in there. So as older women, and we are witnessing all of this, we're witnessing this escalation of craziness. To me, it's just like amazing. It's amazing what the children have to go through nowadays, especially like in schools and the whole woke movement, which I'm not a fan of. Just be flat out. I don't like to take political stands on things, but introducing sexuality to kids when they're really little in grade school, what's up with that? Remember when we were young, it was there's boys and girls, and then you grow and develop from there. You figure things out over time. You have an ease, gentleness going into adulthood and our true preferences. As a little girl, my first crush I was crazy in love with was the neighborhood girl. And I'm as heterosexual as they come, But for me, it was like, oh, my neighbor girl is like, oh, I just loved her. I just loved her. It wasn't more just love, friendship. I loved her. And over time, that just, that slipped away. It was an expression of closeness and fondness and the budding of little hormones perking up and all of that. But I was allowed the grace and the freedom to then, figure out who I am and not be labeled with stuff. Have you seen how many labels there are of sexuality? It's mind-blowing. But what kid should have to put a label? I don't want any labels on me. Okay, Rebel Crone, I'll take that label because that gives me a lot of freedom. That's not a limiting one for me. That's a label that's an aperture. I'm creating an aperture and an opening to something much, much bigger, not something that's going to limit me and define me down and put me in a little box. As kids, remember, I was a little kid, we had dial-up phones. The push button thing was something very fancy that happened later. Then pagers. Oh my God, what could be next? It was incredibly different times back then. And we've seen this all. We've seen this thing. We were able to run around in our neighborhoods and play and have fun and explore, get dirty, fall off our bikes, get scraped up, and like no big deal. Mom calls in the day, come on in for dinner. Up, you got scratched up, we'll clean you up, you'll live to die another day. It wasn't like a big deal. Anyway, so kids are like really, really cocooned. It's one of the things we're seeing, we could read any book we wanted to growing up. There was no ban on books. Come on. Anyway, so the changes are really, we see all this. We see all the fighting, the political stuff. Schisms are nurtured every day. It's me, you, and putting in boxes. None of the boxes like the other boxes. And it's just crazy. What we're seeing, actual wars. Who knows? Maybe we could enter a third world war. I don't know. I don't know what kind of craziness is going to ensue from all of this. But as we look out at all of that, we can observe it. We stay neutral with it. But all right, so let's go back. So we talked about, there's the macro and then there's micros. There's going to be a purpose that we can find in our age. And for me, what I propose is the most potent purpose of your life is available right now, because potency comes from above. Yeah, I say above when I talk about the spiritual realm. It's not really above, things aren't layered like that. They're infused in a different way. They surround, they unfold. But for better word, let's say from above. Our purpose comes from a higher place. Always, 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 always. We may look around the world and see, oh, I could do that. I need to fix this or help that. But then we're responding to the world. Let's respond to our inner calling. So ladies, what is that voice inside of you? Do you wake up in the middle of the night? Is it hard to go to sleep? Do you get up like at 3 a.m, you're awake and you start ruminating on things, it's, sleep, trust me. I learned to flow with it and to understand it in a different way. We'll do a bunch of episodes on that alone. But when I'm called to wake up very early in the morning, I use that time as a time. It's like the witching time. It's the time where everything's calm. It's calm in my house. It's calm in my community. It's calmer in my surrounds, so that I have access of within myself and around to really tune in. And that's a beautiful time to start to tune in and try to figure out what your purpose is. So let's look a little bit of how we start to discern what it is that we could be, how we could expand that little, the eye of the storm, the I am of the storm, and how we can grow that and how that can influence the world around us instead of reacting to it. Finding your purpose, I believe there's 3 questions we need to ask is why, what, and how. So the first one, why, is like, why do I want to do anything? If so much of our life being a woman is typically around our why is wanting to provide comfort, wanting to provide love, wanting to provide safety, wanting to provide home in all different ways, wanting to provide where that home base is a business, whether it's your actual home. It's this giving outwards. Well, let's turn this inwards. So why? Why am I feeling that? What's going on with me? My why of doing the Rebel Crone is I've lived a life of exploration of myself, and I've fought many hard battles, within myself and outside, but mostly within myself that I've had to overcome, and to come to a place where I really feel like I'm able to honestly take and put my crown on and say, I'm here. I'm now, for the first time in my life, I'm ready to provide outwardly. It's not about me anymore. I've done the me work. It's about outward provision. And my why is I want to make a difference, and I want to help older women. I want to share, my story, my successes, my ability to nurture, to open apertures, to inspire other women and younger women. I want to help women come up through this stage in their lives. And as elders, we also can provide by, helping much younger generations as well. But that's my why. And then I have to ask, well, what can I do? What are my skill sets? What am I able to do? What does my world around me look like? Part of what I can do is also what I want to do. Preferences are very important in our life. Our preferences and what we want and what makes us happy, what we love, is part of the design of who we are. And we need to stick to that design. So going back, reflecting in and asking yourself the questions of why, why, what is inspiring me? What would I love to do? Maybe my why is, I really feel for the animal kingdom, and I love animals. I want to make a difference. Maybe it's the plant kingdom. I've got a very dear friend that I've been studying with this past year, one of the apprentices, and she, she's been helping women, nurturing women along their path for many, many years. And she now has found this calling in this ability, this innate ability with her to communicate and commune with plant world. So she's launching a business that's going to be about connecting people with their plants, and not only nurturing the plant kingdom, but forming a closer bonding connection for people with that whole realm. What a beautiful thing. So find out what moves your heart. What's your why? What excites you? Maybe, oh my gosh, I've spent a life in real estate, and I love the land, and I love connecting people, and I make people be happy within the land. I will, look at that, and it's honest reflection. Make lists, refine it down, give it time to gestate. What I've learned about important things like figuring out your purpose, that it comes in its right time. Sometimes there's a fallow period, or there's the invisible period where nothing, like I've spent, like, I swear to God, the past year was like this. Felt like I was in a cocoon. It was all dark. I couldn't see anything about a future and what that would be. But I learned through experience not to panic with that, is just to allow it. Keep going about my business, keep, seeing what's at hand in front of me, work on that, and knowing that in time that will start to open up. And sure enough, it started opening up, and pretty soon, boom, the Rebel Crone is given birth to, in the right time. So don't judge that, but put it out there. Have a conversation with your inner self. Have a conversation with your higher self. Have a conversation with God, with the angels. They're just words describing something that's bigger than what we can fathom or describe. But, all these words all point to the same thing. Let's not get confusing the finger pointing at the thing for the thing, so. Anyways, fill in the blanks with what word, how you get inspired, how you communicate, how your messages come in, what's your intuition telling you, and work through your why. What am I passionate about? What do I love? What do I love right now? I know I used to love that, but what do I love right now? What would make me feel good? And then you can start coming to the what, to like what, well, how can I, the what of what could I do about it? And then we start looking at putting together like skill sets and abilities, but it doesn't have to be limited to that. Because remember, I wrote a book at 58 years old, an award-winning metaphysical adventure book with no acumen in writing. But now on my second book, I did hire a writing coach because it's way over my head. And I realized I've got to like develop another skill set to accomplish that. But what I'm doing now, this is something natural to me. So that's why I'm doing it. So figure out like what, what is your what? You've got your why. What is the what? What can you do about it? What is in your field? And once again, like, don't judge yourself. I don't judge you, and nobody in my group, no followers, no one's going to judge anybody about this. Your what may be, it's just quiet. I'm quiet. I'm even more quiet now. Maybe I need this rest of my life. I'm going to be quiet. It's going to be an inner kind of thing. Maybe, my what is, I love children. I want to work with children. And, so you just kind of find out what that what is, what, trips your trigger with it and how it can be expressed. And then you get into the how, and the how is the actual when the rubber hits the road. And that's farther down the line. But our how is how we go about it. And there's just so many things that we can do, so many things about being creative and expressing. And I will take on clients and work with people in a one-on-one coaching to try to figure that out. It happens to be one of my skill sets is to be, creative ideas and seeing things that you may not be seeing about yourself. There's so many things that we can do. Let's say, I don't know what to do. I like to knit. I like to crochet. That's cool. And you love animals? All right, man, how many of, shelters out there is little, abandoned doggies that are kitties been given up would love a little fuzzy blanket or love a little toy. How many homeless people would need a hat in the winter? Oh my God, there's like so many things that we can do. We can privately donate. Maybe you made a boatload of money and you feel like I've been successful. My name has been, it's not about that anymore. Well, then you do things anonymously. You do things quietly. You fuel other people. You're the angel of change, and you help other people that maybe want to go out and physically do things. There's just so much about that. But anyway, so that's what I'm talking about, is like finding like our unique purpose at our age, at the, postmenopausal age, the age where we're growing into our elderhood. Our influence in the world is so important. And remember, it's not about running out there, going from the eye of your being, the I am of your being, the eye of the hurricane. It's not about racing out there and I'm going to start change things. You'll get wiped out. Trust me, the power's out there and the energy that's moving. It's just like, no single person stands a chance with that. We don't stand a chance as a single person. I'm going to change the world. And just a side note, if somebody comes in, whether it's a politician or whatever, that says, or a guru or whatever, I'm going to change your world, run from the room. That is nobody. That's no one person's role. It's the role of humanity as a whole. Our creative power lies in our creative ability, and our creative ability together is what's going to change things. Right now, the world's perfect. Perfect in the sense that it's a perfect reflection of what's going on. Perfect reflection of a humanity that hasn't accepted and embraced their creative abilities, and knowing that they're little gods in the making. You know, that doesn't offend anybody, but we're here to hone and to grow our powers. You know, the loving aspect of the great I am is about having us wake up more and more to our divinity and our ability to be, you know, we're creative beings. So let's create like some good. You know, so don't be afraid when I say things like that. And if it doesn't, you know, if my message doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. No big deal. You'll find there's a billion messages going out there. You'll find one that works for you. But if it works for you, yay, you know, let's do this together. Let's nurture each other. Let's help, you know, grow that strong, that center of the big I am, the eye of the storm. Let's grow that. And instead of jumping into trying to change things, as we grow in our magnitude and our ability, our power, personal power, that starts pulsating out. And it starts to affect the things around us. We get more powerful, more effect goes out. We join in with other eyes. It becomes bigger. You know, other realized people, other realized women. I'm talking about, I mean, it's for everybody. But specifically, you know, I'm talking about, you know, my peers, you know, my generation, baby boomers, and I'm right on the cusp of that. But that's the way that that's the way the world's going to change. We don't need to tear anything down. It'll tear itself down, right? You know what I mean? This whole war idea, this whole domination, this whole masculine principles that have been running this world, they're going to tear themselves down. Their day is ending. We don't have to worry about that. That whole idea of that whole paradigm of society and structure and humanity is on its way out. I mean, it's just cosmologically, it's on its way out. We don't have to worry about that. Our concern is aligning ourselves in the right way, discovering what our purpose is right now, how big or small. Remember, same potency. It doesn't matter. The world needs people stepping into the truth in their heart, the love that they've come from, you know, their creative, inspiring beauty of just who they're designed to be. And whatever that looks like in this micro purpose of being older, which also I feel like really is a pivotal part of the macro of why we're here. You know, let's go out with a big bang. Let's go out. But first, let's try to make, you know, be agents of a shift in this planet. The shift's happening. You know, can't stop that. It's just a matter of how many people are going to survive it, how much devastation is going to happen, and what have we done to contribute to it. You know, I'm going to do my part. You know, that's it. I've taken an oath of stepping into this incarnation and to really, you know, okay, I'm going to talk. I'm going to share my voice. I'm going to share my vision of things. I'm going to share, you know, how I see things. It's my perspective. You know, it's based on life of bringing many things together. You know, you can find yours. If you resonate with this, I love it. This is great. You know, let's all work together. Anyway, so I hope that this sheds a little bit of light on purpose. It's a huge topic. You know, we'll go in other episodes. We can go into, you know, the art of listening, discerning, and feeling. Listening, discerning, and feeling, and how we can be more in touch with the invisible aspect, the higher aspect of who we are, how we can hone the ability here and here clearly. You know, there's a lot of things around it. There's ceremony around that. You know, it's a very sacred thing. There is, you know, habits that we can develop that's going to help us with it. I mean, we're like super poised, ladies. We are like poised to be masters at that. That's available to us like it's not available to anybody else on this planet. Older women, we've got this. You know, we have a role to play. Let's do it. You know, I hope you can join me on this. Once again, this is Elisa with the Rebel Crone. If you like what you've heard, or if you're just curious, hit the like button, subscribe, make sure you have notifications on so that you'll know when another episode is released. Eventually, I'm going to get into a regular pulse, and certain days things will come out. We'll start interviews very soon here. But anyways, I just hope you join. Leave me a comment. Tell me what are the things that are moving in your heart? what would you like for me? What would you like to discuss? What would you like to learn more about? Do you need help? All this things I want to know. This is me sharing me with people, and so I want feedback. I need feedback on it. That's how we all knit together. Anyway, so go visit therebelcrone.com and get your free giveaways. I got some good digital download goodies for you. Right now, just depends when you're listening to this. If you're listening to this early on, when it's being first released, the rebelcrone.com will be a landing page, but you'll be able to sign up and get your gifts. And then the website will be launched very soon in the next couple months, and that'll be really fun. I look forward to getting all that together and all kinds of wonderful opportunities to all my friends, my women friends out there. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your hearts. I appreciate everything you've gone through in this life to become the woman that you are right now. I appreciate you, and I love you. Until next time, peace in.